I'm Ben Swan, filling in for Steve Malzberg. A new article in the September issue of Forbes magazine encourages Republicans to focus on reducing the cost of health care with or without Obamacare. But honestly, we have not heard a lot about it on the campaign trail as of late. Newsmax TV's John BACHMAN joins us now with more on that. John?
Well, Ben, it's good to have you with us here today. And we all know we're coming up on Labor Day, of course, which marks the end of summer and the beginning of peak midterm campaign season. But right now, we're not hearing Republicans talk a lot about Obamacare. And strangely enough, given some of the problems we've heard about with the law, everything from people losing their doctors to security issues with healthcare.gov, some Democrats are actually now touting the law. And the left-leaning New Republic and a number of other news outlets, including this one, have taken notice. The headline on this story says, quote, "This is how Democrats win on Obamacare." They're talking about Mark Pryor, the Democratic incumbent senator of Arkansas. He's facing a difficult re-election battle against Iraq veteran and U.S. Congressman Tom Cotton. In a new ad, Pryor calls on his dad, a former Arkansas governor and senator, to talk about his son's bout with cancer and the senator's support for the Affordable Care Act.
When Mark was diagnosed with cancer, we thought we might lose him.
My family and my faith helped me through the rough times.
But you know what? Mark's insurance company didn't want to pay for the treatment that ultimately saved his life.
No one should be fighting an insurance company while you're fighting for your life. That's why I helped pass a law that prevents insurance companies from canceling your policy if you get sick or deny coverage for pre-existing conditions. I'm Mark Pryor, and I approve this message.
Well, did you notice he didn't mention the law by any of its names, Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act? But that, of course, was what he was talking about. Also over at Bloomberg, they've been digging down, looking into the numbers, and they've been tracking ads in battleground states like Arkansas and North Carolina. Here's a clip.
For the first time, we have some really hard evidence that Republicans are starting to ease off on their Obamacare offensive. As you cited, this has been the issue in the past couple of election cycles, but we took a look at some of the ads that are running in key battleground states in Arkansas, Louisiana, North Carolina, and the proportion of ads relative to other issues on Obamacare has dropped significantly.
Well, so there you see it. That's what the folks over at Bloomberg found. Now, back in April, 54% of GOP campaign ads targeted Obamacare. In July, that number fell down to 27%. So is Obamacare really something Democrats are going to run on from here till November? Is the GOP really running away from using it? Some Republican strategists say their party's candidates are just pausing as they adjust their campaign messages right now. Also, the GOP, of course, has plenty of other issues to discuss and hammer the president on: immigration, foreign policy, so forth and so on. Some Republican strategists also say that the party again has those other issues to discuss. But Ben, I'd be willing to bet that we're going to hear a lot more about Obamacare. Let's not forget that Kaiser Family Foundation poll that was released just recently shows the law is growing more and more unpopular by the day. 53% of those surveyed say that they have an unfavorable view of the law. That's up 8% between June and July.
Well, and you make a good point there. The big question, though, has there actually been any fallout for those members of Congress who voted for the ACA, the Affordable Care Act? And how about those who voted against it?
Yeah, not as much as you might think. And actually, it's worked kind of the reverse for Democrats. Back when that law was first passed in 2010, there were 34 sitting members of Congress who voted against the president and against the law. Today, that number is down to 4. Just 4 members of Congress sitting in Congress who actually voted against Obamacare. So it remains to be seen, Ben, how much of an issue this is going to be. Still some discontent among the American public, though, for sure.
Yeah, well, before you go, though, John, I know you're a baseball fan. What's the deal with Obamacare and the Chicago Cubs?
Yeah,
something about Tarpgate. What's that?
Yeah, some folks are calling it Tarpgate. Last night, there was an issue with the Cubs. They had a little rain delay here, and they were short-staffed because the owners of the Cubs have tried to cut back on the hours of some of their ground crew, and that left them short-staffed. They could not get the tarp out on the field properly, and that lengthened the ground delay here. So Obamacare having an impact on a lot of businesses out there and on the American pastime.
Interesting stuff. John, thank you very much.
All right, Ben, back to you.
We'll be back with the president of the United States Continued Service, LLC, former Navy SEAL Jonathan Gilliam. But first, here is your max to money moment about gifting from your estate. We're going to have much more with that. Plus, as we mentioned, John will be on with us when we come back. We'll be talking much more about this issue of militarization of police across the area. And ultimately, what does that mean when you hear that all of a sudden institutions across the country that have been receiving military equipment are no longer receiving it? Where's it going? Where's it headed to? Some information you're not going to hear anywhere else when we come back.
You're watching Max to Money. It's better to give than to receive, so they say. But when it comes to your taxes, giving or gifting could save you money down the road.
The benefits of annual gifting is you get some money out of your estate systematically every year. You can give $14,000 to a child, or if you're married, you can give $28,000 per person. But more important than getting money out of your estate, I think it's important while you're young and healthy to help your kids, whether you can improve their lifestyle, help them with education, you can help them buy a new house, you can help them pay for health care, you can fund education for grandkids.
Gifting to family members involves tough decisions about when, how, and in what form to gift. Before doing so, talk with your attorney and your accountant. I'm Karina Brez.
Get more money news at Newsmax.com.